Hello and welcome to Idaho Media Showcase. My name is Lance Thompson. If it's Friday at 7 p.m., good evening. If it's Monday at 9 a.m., good morning. And welcome and thanks for joining us. My guests tonight are Bruce Demery and Conda Douglas. They're writers, they're publishers, and they are filmmakers. And we are happy to have them in Idaho Media Showcase. Thanks for coming.
Thank you for having us.
And
Lance.
Bruce.
Thank you.
Now, there's a lot of exciting things going on in your lives of recent days. So, first of all, Conda, you've just published 2 new books that you've written.
That I've written myself, yes.
And how it usually is, but separate from your publishing
Company, yes, with 2 different publishers that are not Barbarian books. One's a Canadian publisher, actually.
Oh.
That's this new world. You can submit to publishers anywhere. It no longer matters.
And you don't have to have like a box to send
Right.
a bunch of pages in.
You don't
can just
have to spend a ton of money and wait, years upon years and wonder if they ever got it, and
because it's instantaneous. At least they can say you got it. So
and once it's published, you have the copies right there on your laptop. Just
it's so much better.
Look, I'm published.
So what is this? The Canadian publisher, is this an electronic book or is this print?
The Canadian publisher, it's been released first. It's in an ebook, and several months from now it'll be released in the less important print. I'm
Okay.
sorry to say, yes, and
Well,
it is.
And then what is it? A novel?
Yes, it's a novel. It's a novel for what are called tweens, which is the age groups of 10 to 14, roughly.
Okay.
Roughly, and it's the first in my trilogy series, and it's called The Mall Fairies Exile.
Okay.
And it's about a little fairy who lives in the attic of a shopping mall. And the mall is based on Boise Town Square.
Oh, it's good that you're familiar
Yes,
with your genre and your
yes,
environment.
Yes, indeed. In fact, that's how I got the idea for the trilogy. Is I was in Boise Town Square, and was shopping, and I'm very nearsighted, and I saw these little birds flitting around, and I thought, what if they were fairies?
And you weren't actually sure, because nearsightedness means they could be fairies, right?
Could be.
They could be windmills.
Who knows?
So now that tween market is a really popular segment right now, isn't it? I mean, I go to the bookstore and there's aisles and aisles of that.
Yes. After Harry Potter, of course, that's the age
okay.
group and fantasy but I actually didn't write it for that reason. I wrote it because books come to writers and say, you have to write me.
How did this
right now?
So, but besides the birds, did you have another message? I mean, how did you know that was going to be? Were you looking for something like that, or were you?
No, it just came to me, and as soon as I thought, what if those were fairies? Well, where would they live? They'd have to stay away from humans, of course, and that's a big issue in the book. What would they eat? Well, they'd eat from the food court. And what would they wear? And how would they get the little cell phone up to the attic so that they can have it in the schoolhouse?
So you have to, especially in a fantasy, you have to work out this whole world. I mean,
Yes,
all the different rules
yes.
and things like that. So
Yes,
and
indeed.
because my understanding is that you were a mystery writer ordinarily, right? I mean, wasn't that your background?
And at the beginning, and still am a mystery writer with the other publisher I'm being published with. I am releasing the first in my mystery series, Stark Naked Dead. And that's about, actually Stark is Sun Valley. Again, writers use what they know, and it's Sun Valley, Idaho, but I didn't want everyone writing in that knew me and saying, off of Maine. Louis was on the left, not the right.
Yes. And you would get those. That would be, especially with websites and stuff now. I mean, people feel like they can.
Yeah. I grew up in Sun Valley, so it's based in Sun Valley, and it's about a gal who's a jeweler there, and my folks were jewelers, and I'm a jeweler, and so it goes. Yeah.
And that is available now also.
That will be released April the 28th in print first, and then ebook.
And then you said that's part of a series, the first in a series, or
It's the first in the series, yes.
so
yes.
you're thinking franchises the whole time when
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
coming up with these.
I have trouble running out of things to say.
Good, okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Well, glad you're here. That's the kind of guest we like.
Well, I think she falls in love with those worlds too once she creates them. And,
Well,
yes.
that makes sense. And because if you've done all that work, I mean, what you don't want to do make it a one-off thing. You want to come back. I mean, even
Yes,
the Harry
yeah.
Potter stuff. You know, I can do another 6,000 pages on this. But
Yeah. If only it were that easy.
well, you also have a new venture that both of you have. Bruce, can you tell us about what Barbarian Books is?
Barbarian Books is a publishing company we have formed to help authors get published, help get good stories to the people who are out there buying ebooks for their e-readers. We only do ebooks. After years of watching Conda try to get her books out and dealing with some rather ridiculous hurdles in the way of authors, it just seemed to me that in this digital age, we didn't have to make authors become technicians and marketers and all these other things if what they are best at is being creative. And so that drove me to think about what ebooks can do and how far we can go if we just leave print behind. I still love print books, still enjoy that, but not every book has to be released in print, and certainly it doesn't have to be released in print first. And if we embrace digital, we can go from the creation of a story to people actually reading it in their homes, on their couches, on the beach, by the swimming pool, in a month instead of
Oh my
2,
God.
3 years.
Yes, because that's
Yeah.
what it was in the old days. It was years.
It
you know?
was
Yes.
years.
Yes.
And as they started to go digital, publishers each developed their own biases on what they needed. And they expected authors to submit books in either Word 97 format or Word 93, 1993 format, or it had to be in WordPerfect or text. And every publisher had all these ridiculous hoops you had to jump through. And
Well, it's
I
probably
would-
easier for them to cull the herd, right? I mean, just
Yeah.
they get, thousands of submissions. It's just easier to say you've got to use, the Atari 600, to
Yeah,
submit it.
Yeah.
exactly.
exactly,
It certainly
exactly.
cuts down on the submissions, but it doesn't do so in a way that gets them to the good submissions.
So this is author-friendly publishing.
Well, that's where the idea started. But as I kind of discussed the idea with Conda, she's really a reader first. She loves to write, but she loves to read.
Oh, I love to read.
And she felt that the whole industry wasn't very friendly to people who love to read. A book should not cost $30. There is no excuse for that.
Yes.
Well,
And
when did Barbarian's books start? When did you?
We opened to submissions September the 12th of last year.
Okay.
Just to submissions. And
then what have
very
you
pleased.
found since?
we have 3 novels ready to publish. We're putting the finishing touches on the website. We hope within the next month, maybe within the next couple of weeks, to have them out there.
to
We've
launch.
got, as it turns out, 3 mysteries. Now we're taking fantasy, mystery, Western,
horror,
the
science
entire
fiction.
gamut of genre fiction.
Genre fiction. Okay.
Genre
genre
fiction.
fiction.
So
at
would that
novel
include
length.
is the tween books? Is that a genre, or is that separate? Is it a market? Wait, I don't know.
The ones I've written have, the tween is a separate, that's a subgenre,
Okay.
if you will. Yes, yes.
So it has all those things. Tweens could
Right.
have horror, fantasy, Western.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
not
like
Western.
young adults
Sounds
can
like it.
have horror, fantasy, Western.
gotcha.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you you didn't look for 3 mysteries to start out with. That's
It
what's come
just
in.
happened. Yeah.
Well, and I suspect it's because we opened to mysteries first. They were one
Oh,
of the
okay.
genres we opened to first. So we got several good ones, and it's just really. I've been very pleased. Part of the reason I encouraged Bruce to open this is that the publishing world has been a world of exclusivity. And I know a great many writers, of course, and it's like, this book is better than stuff I've bought and read and bought and read, and yet you can't get it published.
And what was the
And it's
reason for that?
better.
What do you think? Was it because it was such a narrow gate for all these things?
The traditional publishers, if you couldn't sell thousands upon thousands of copies, of print copies, see, it's the print.
Right.
They have to pay for the print, they have to pay for the storage, they have to pay for the shipping, they have to pay for the returns, they have to pay for...
Yes.
Shipping
Yes.
dead trees around is expensive.
It's very,
Yeah.
and storing them is expensive. And having them returned and then destroying them is expensive. So that they were trying to find a way to guarantee every book be a bestseller. Well, of course.
Sorry. It's like nominating the guy who's electable. You know,
Exactly.
half the people are wrong every time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, this is, I mean, electronic publishing seems to be the wave of the future. I mean, everyone is talking about that. You know, you go into the bookstore and it's, you know, the Nook or the Kindle or whatever that is. Is this going to be the end of traditional publishing? You said that print might come later from an ebook. You said it doesn't have to be
can.
in print first.
It can. It
Okay.
doesn't have to be print first anymore. Yes.
Yeah. Print is only one way of telling a story. And too many people already in the industry are thinking that print is what the industry is about, and it's not. It's about storytelling. Print is the last couple hundred years. Stretch it back maybe 1,000 years if you want to go back that far, but truly storytelling goes back 40,000 years. We're used to sitting around the campfire or in the cave or in the king's castle and telling stories to each other and enjoying them and passing them along.
So this is the print is like a fad. We just like, you know,
A brief fad.
we'll get over it. Yeah. Okay.
But you know, some of us still have some vinyl records around. Digital didn't kill vinyl, it just toppled it from the throne, as it were.
Got it.
Yes, and I suspect that print will always be around and will always have a place. It'll just be different.
Yeah.
It'll have different functions.
Okay. Well, you were one of the first ones to tell me. I remember when you were writing the more mysteries, you said that authors now have to be very savvy about social media and you know, building a website and building a you know, your personal presence on the web. And is that still true even with electronic publishing? Is that?
Well, it's much more true with electronic publishing because now a lot of it is with the, you know, Borders is gone.
Yeah.
Bookstores are closing or they're morphing into more of a general, they have books and other things, but it's much more important that you have a platform now.
Platform. Yeah.
Yes. But with Barbarian Books, that was another thing is we want writers to write. That's what they do best. And so we don't insist, prove to us that you have a platform. Prove to us that you're on Facebook and Twitter and Pinterest and on and on. And, you know, it's, if you do that, if you enjoy, like I'm a film editor, so I love to make book trailers. So I make book trailers. And,
Now, what is
you know,
what is that? What are you?
it is like a movie trailer. It's a teaser, if you will,
Okay.
or they can be several different things. There are some that are interviews or some that,
Okay.
as long as they provide some content about your releases.
Okay, so it's not
Yeah.
not like we'd see scenes from the book necessarily, or we
You might, you
Okay.
might, yeah. Some of them are a scene from the book. You know, here's a teaser, here's a little, you know, the wide variety, if you think of the wide variety of movie trailers, you know, some are virtually tell the whole story, some of them just show you one little scene, a few lines, etc. Yeah. yeah.
The last ones I've seen has been just a bunch of explosions and then, you know,
Y-
Nicolas
then,
Cage or something. You know.
Yeah. And
So-
that is the entire movie.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you help them with producing authors to produce book trailers, or how do you?
At Barbarian Books, what we're doing is promoting Barbarian books.
And we'll be promoting the author's titles as well. But in some ways, this is going to be like an author's collective. Everything each author does is going to contribute to all of us. We have one of our launching books, Stage Blood by Brett Jones. He lives in Texas. He's in theater as well as has written some other books. Has a pretty good web presence. That's going to help his book sell, but that's also going to help others sell. We have also Jacqueline Parmenter, who lives back east somewhere, I believe it is.
Yes, I believe she lives in Florida. Yes.
Okay. And she's a bit shyer. She doesn't have a web presence. She doesn't want to do the marketing. It's part of why she submitted her work to Barbarian Books, is she could concentrate on what she loves to do, which is to write.
Writing.
We also have the third one of our books to launch here is Death is Academic, and it's by a local author, Diane Anderson.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we've got all different kinds of people cooperating. We have Conda, who has a wonderful presence on Facebook and is starting to learn Pinterest. I have quite a few connections on Google+, and this all comes together to promote each other, Barbarian Books, and each individual title.
Very good.
Yeah.
But now you spoke about a local author. For writers who wonder beginning, or writers who are shut-ins, like the lady in Florida or Shire, are there organizations for writers here that they can join, or can you recommend any groups that?
Absolutely, yes, yeah. For local writers, I would certainly suggest the Idaho Writers Guild is wonderful. The Idaho Media Professionals is full of great writers, really excellent writers. And what I've always loved about being a writer and being with writers is we're all friendly, good people. We like to hang out, because we're sitting in front of a computer typing all day, and it's like,
It's a lonely business.
it's a lonely business, yes.
And if I may plug another group, I'm a writer as well, and I particularly enjoy screenwriting. The Idaho Screenwriters Association.
That's another great group, yes.
It has a local chapter as well as a chapter, you're familiar with them, you're a member as well, in eastern Idaho. And do we now have a chapter in Lewiston?
Oh yeah, I believe we do. I have to ask Sherry, but
Yes.
yeah, those are all terrific, and those would be good places for beginning writers to start, to meet some people and share some ideas.
Absolutely. Yes, yeah.
Also, there's a women's writers group called Pixie Chicks. Are you familiar with them?
Yes, I am quite familiar with them. As per your lovely wife, Pam, introduced me to the Pixie Chicks. That is the creation of Jane Freund of Freundship Press, which is a local publisher as well, a wonderful local publisher. And it's a women's group, and they have released she has released a couple of collections called An Eclectic Collage,
And
1 and 2.
And I remember you had a story in there which was great. Was
Oh, thank you, thank you.
it was a Christmas story. It was Kisses
Yes,
for Christmas. What was it called? Is that right?
Kisses for
Kisses
Christmas.
for Christmas. Yeah, it was.
Yes.
It was very very touching.
Good memory.
Nice. It was
My
it was
goodness.
Yeah, that was a good one. So now you've got your publishers now. What do you look for? Is there a common factor in something that, okay, this is something we want to publish. This is something that we like. I know that this is a good author who's worth. What do you look for?
There's several things we look for, really. First off, it has to be well written. We're not a vanity press. We don't have anything against vanity presses. There are people who want to write and see their book in print, share it with a few friends, share it with family. That's good. But as I said, we're very reader-oriented. We want people to know when they look at a Barbarian Books story, that they're going to get a good story, that they're going to read it, and when they put it down, they're going to say, yeah, I got more than my money's worth for that. So, but because we're leveraging off the advantages of digital, we're not taking the time to mentor authors the way some bigger and more traditional publishers will. And there's a great place in there for publishers who have deep enough pockets to recognize talent and groom it and grow it. There's also a lot of authors out there, though, who have done the work on their own, have outstanding resources, skills, the magic that makes stories happen. And we want to get them published. We want to recognize the work that they have done. So we're looking for something that is near ready to go to publication. And I think I have kind of a bias towards the character-driven stories, too.
Yes.
Okay.
Very much so. Yeah, all publishers have their own biases, and the stronger the character, the more we are hooked into the book. And
Right, and that goes across all genres.
yeah, oh
Yes.
yes, absolutely.
Absolutely. People want to read about other people. They want to see themselves in the characters that they love.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now what, Bruce, you were talking about writing. Do you have a writing project coming up, or are you completely dedicated to the publishing?
I've had to put my writing on hold for now while we get Barbarian books up and running. I have a couple of screenplays on the back burner. I've won a few awards, which, as it turns out, does not get you a Hollywood contract. But
That's astounding, isn't it? I don't know.
Yes.
Why is that?
but I've got some ideas, and as I'm reading other stories and learning what works and what does not work, it's helping me become a better writer also.
That's right, because you have to have like a sort of a standard in your mind of what you're looking for, and then when you apply that to your own stuff, it's painful.
Yes.
Right, but
yes, it is.
You can see where the holes are.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
so you've got 2 series that you have to fill out now.
Yes, yes, indeed. I have to apply a certain part of my anatomy to a certain part of.
That's the worst part. It's just, it doesn't. It seems like with the electronic age, there should be something that's sort of self-creating.
Yes, yes, that I could just think it and it would appear on the page. Although there are so many times, and I'm sure other writers, yourself as a writer, you get into the zone and it just appears, and that's when it's so wonderful. And you look up and 6 hours have gone by and you're like, no wonder I'm hungry.
I remember seeing it was some kind of documentary on Barbara Taylor Bradford, and she was sitting in this beautiful mansion, and she had these 2, I don't know, Lasso Apsos or something on her lap, and she was dictating, and there's the guy there, taking it all down, and she was saying, and then the sun came up, and there was a beautiful glow, and they fell into each other's arms, and he looked at her, and she looked at him, and he said, "How many words is that?" And he said 60,000. That's enough for today. And then that was it. I wish I could do that. I wish I just it would just come out, but it never does.
Yeah.
So you have three Barbarian titles so far. Are those out yet? Are those available?
Not yet.
Not yet.
We're working on getting the website finished up, getting the shopping cart in. People, they want these stories, but they also want to be able to navigate your website and have it be easy. There's a high standard out there. There are a lot of people out there doing it right. And so we need to meet that standard for our customers and for the authors who have trusted us with their works.
So your customers will be able to buy the titles directly from your site.
Yes, download it to their Kindle, their Nook, their tablet, iPad. Read it on their computer. There are apps out there for virtually every computer that will let you read a Kindle book or a Nook
Read it on your
formatted book.
phone.
Wow. Okay.
That's part of what's going on with the new media is you can use one device to do many things. You can have your tablet and watch the trailer for her book and then buy the book and read it all on the same device.
Goodness. That's amazing. Now, you also mentioned, I remember before, one of the things you have to have besides a great book, great story, well written, is a cover. Now, how important is that for electronic books?
People still do judge books by their cover.
Yes.
And so there is no real cover on an ebook,
Yes, yes.
so you have to create one.
So artwork, I guess you can't call it a cover, but what do you call that?
We go ahead and call it a cover.
Okay.
I mean,
Yes.
you know, we still call it dialing a phone even though we push buttons, and we still call it a cover on an ebook. And yes, it's the first thing people see. It's what will draw them into looking deeper, reading the blurb, figuring out, is this the kind of story I like to read? Is it the kind of story Aunt Josephina likes to read? Or is this the sort of thing I just don't want to get close to?
Okay. And the secret is, you said, to make sure it looks cool in a thumbnail.
In a
sketch.
thumbnail, because we're so accustomed to seeing book covers on the shelf, and of course they're huge, but all the electronic reader is going to see is this little thumbnail.
Then they can enlarge it.
Yeah,
But if it
but
doesn't
first
look
they have
good
to see it.
in a thumbnail, it's not.
They
They're
won't
not going to
see
look
it.
at it again.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure the visitors to the Barbarian website will see very fascinating covers in whatever size.
Exactly.
And we wish you much success with that
Thank you.
and your series. And
Thank you.
thank you for coming, Conda.
Yes, thank
And
you for
Bruce.
having me.
Lance, always a pleasure.
Yes,
Yes,
sir. And
absolutely.
it's been great. And for those of you at home, look for Barbarian Books. The website is,
www.barbarianbooks.com.
I can't say it any better than that. Our guests were Bruce Demery and Conda Douglas. Thank you for joining us on Idaho Media Showcase. Check back again Fridays at 7 or Fridays at 7 p.m., Mondays at 9 a.m. And we'll be here with more fascinating guests. I don't know if they'll be up to your standards, but we'll try to entertain you and enlighten you with our programming. So thanks for joining us, and watch for those Barbarian books. They're going to be great.